All right. So we're back again for part two with our board of directors here, and everybody has agreed that we're going to attempt to apply some of the ground rules to some of the things that came out in our survey, right?
Right.
Okay. So let's talk about three things that came up that were really, really unanimous. The first one was my team members asked for feedback regarding flaws in their thinking. So we're going to talk about a ground rule that might help us to improve that. Okay, so what do you guys think? Who's got a ground rule here?
How about number one?
Ground rule number one. So test assumptions and inferences. So how do you think that'll improve that? Team members ask for feedback regarding flaws in their thinking. Okay, so
maybe if we ask more questions about what they're talking about.
Okay, so
to get them to talk more, put more into their thought.
Right. So if we do a little bit more query about when somebody's suggesting something, right? We might ask more questions like, I'm thinking that you're concerned about we'll go over budget if we proceed, that kind of thing.
And sometimes, it's good to ask them the question back. Is this what you mean by that?
Okay, so like
So
reflective,
is this what you mean? Yeah, reflective. Yeah, so everybody can understand exactly what their point is. Sometimes we hear it different. Everybody hears things different.
Right.
Like repeat the question back to them. Is this what you meant?
Right.
When I heard you say that, something along those lines, so that we're all on the same page.
And then
and
we
not
would
assuming.
Not assuming.
Yeah.
So testing assumptions.
Yeah.
And then I would know if I ask for feedback, then I would be able to know if I'm on the right track.
Yeah.
By getting feedback from you and the rest of the board members.
Right.
Okay. So any other concerns about that question about my team members ask for feedback regarding flaws in their thinking? Because everybody answered that pretty strongly that they disagree. So we all kind of feel that we don't ask for feedback as a board.
Right. And I think it would be, now that we've been together so long, we could ask the questions, ask for feedback, and not take it personally.
So in
because
that
we
way,
know each other better now.
Because our group has been well underway, we might be able to actually more comfortably implement ground rule number one.
Right. We can look back and see where we went the wrong direction and made a mistake and correct it for the future.
And probably have less defensiveness or
Yes.
Exactly.
fear of being criticized.
Yeah. Fear of being criticized. Right.
Oh, all right. Okay. Shall we move to the second one?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. My team members ask how they may have contributed to a problem. So we answered that in a way that suggests that none of us really ask how I might have contributed to a problem. And then, do we have some examples of that in the past?
The Halloween dance.
So the Halloween dance, and the big problem with the Halloween dance was that we did not make any money.
Well, the big problem is that our scheduling probably could have been scheduled better because there were other events in the area that took a lot of our people away. So we probably made a mistake on the night and the date.
Okay.
And that's probably where we went off track.
So
we didn't think it all the way through, I don't think, on that issue.
Yeah, so it's almost like we could have applied test assumptions and inferences again, but also what about ground rule number 8? Discuss undiscussable issues. How might that help us in the future, do you think?
I think not so much this one because we really didn't talk about it, but people have been on the defense before, and they already know where they have dropped the ball on the issue. Before, after the event, then we find out the ball had been dropped.
Right.
Their part of it had been.
So if somebody drops the ball, like we know that happened in the past, we might have wanted to have had ground rule number 8 in among our tools that we would use in order to going forward.
Right.
Does that make sense?
I would think that you wouldn't want to point a finger at any particular board member.
Right.
We just want to look at where we went wrong and adjust, like we've already talked about. Not having it working within the club itself instead of going outside. So it was just a matter of we did too much too fast.
Hmm.
Maybe we didn't take enough time on it.
Right, and that was one of the things that we all acknowledge is that we started at our inception without much of a plan for how we were going to work together. We just rolled up our sleeves and got busy.
Right at it.
Right? Yeah. Okay. So what if we move to the last one where we all had unanimous agreement? Um, my team members seem more interested in getting their ideas implemented than in hearing others' views.
Hmm.
What do we all think about that? There was strong agreement on what sounds like a lot of us in our on our team are more interested in getting our own ideas implemented.
Yeah. I think on that one, I think we all are maybe somewhat guilty in this, that we don't look at the whole picture. We just look at what the point of view is, such as the TV, and not looking at the big picture. We didn't do a lot of discussion on that, and we learned.
We did.
We did learn on that. So we've I think some of the members have learned that they need to get their point across, but get us in on it. Get us participating in the end result.
Yeah, so it seems like if when there's an idea on the floor, if everybody's voice was heard, if we made sure that nobody was left out of that, even if somebody wants to be quiet, if we notice someone's being quiet, we might want to ask if that person has something to contribute or if they're thinking something. Like we really want to make sure we've heard everybody's ideas.
That's a good idea. Go around the room and ask everybody what do they think about it, how do they feel about it, right?
Yeah.
Even the ones that are quiet. You're absolutely right. Good.
Right. And also, I was thinking about ground rule number 5, focusing on interests and not positions, because somebody might suggest something, and we've had this happen where someone suggests something and we might not like the idea, so we shoot it down without finding out what
I agree.
What interests that person was trying to, or what needs that person was trying to get met. Like what's underneath the idea? What was trying to be accomplished there? Right. Or and on the other side of that, we might also be able to say, well, what needs wouldn't be addressed by that idea?
Right.
What needs would not be covered under that suggestion? Something like that. What do you guys think?
I agree with that. And sometimes we take a position that my idea's right, and you don't know what you're talking about, or I'll think that of someone else. But then once they start talking about it more, then my position on that changes. But at first I don't think that's a good idea. Without listening to the needs that need to be met, that the other person thinks need to be met.
Right, and remember on the first part when we did our other taping and we talked about the mutual learning model?
Right.
That some of the assumptions of that are each of us sees things others don't.
Yep.
Exactly.
And so differences are opportunities for learning, things like that. So we really actually want to we do want to frustrate a little bit of differences.
Right.
And like differences are a good thing, actually.
I think discussion and differences is a really good thing, especially when there was someone who knew more about a situation than we did, and they bring their point across, and I don't have correct questions to ask them because I'm not familiar with that particular environment.
Right.
So we need to look at that a little further.
So ground rule number 2, share all relevant information.
Yeah.
I do recall there was a situation where we were not in possession of all the information on the reconstruction of that room.
Right.
Remember that?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
and it was almost passed because we didn't know what was going on. So that exactly. Share all the relevant information. That's important. We didn't do that thing. Yeah.
Right.
Well, this has been a great discussion. We're coming up on our 10 minutes. So is everybody comfortable with wrapping up for now?
Sure. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you both very much.
Thanks, Debbie.